Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22 Beta, and we are in our South African series. It's episode number 3. Do like, comment, subscribe to help get this series on the go. But of course, the big series is going to come after release. One thought that I'm having on a possible topic, more of a standard one, but still not the totally common, but with some changes that there has been in the system. I'm looking at one of two possibilities, I think, as a potential series. One, Journeyman. Proper Journeyman series. Of course, that is a semi-popular idea, concept that's been done many times. For one thing, I don't know if I've ever actually done a proper Journeyman series, ever. Not just on the channel, but as an FM player, which I'm in my, 12th, 13th edition of FM now. 09 or 10 was the first one that I picked up, and I've had everyone ever since. But yeah, they've done a couple changes that include like requesting coaching badges within contracts as you're doing interviews and whatnot, and I think that would be really important in a Journeyman series. So there's one open possibility to something. We have the traditional that I've done on the channel, which is the proper lower league manager and working your way up through the divisions. And a third possibility, and this is one that I'm definitely looking at because there's one element to this that I very much like the prospect of, and that is taking a lower league manager in a small nation, whatever I can get my hands on with that, a lower rated nation itself in terms of FIFA rankings, and taking the worst team that I can get my hands on there, working them up through the system, and then using the dynamic youth ratings to drastically increase the nation's rankings itself. I think that would be a really cool project to go through, and I think I might be leaning towards that one at the moment, but only slightly. I'm still pretty open to all three of those ideas and concepts. Well, anyway, here on this front with this South African, the Sundowns team, we have a ton of injuries just before we begin the season opener. Now, the good news after we had that devastating open to our season where we got knocked out of the Super 8 tournament right off the bat, after, well, one little mistake and one error that cost us deeply, and then in the final waning moments we nearly drew level and made a game out of it. But my oh my, it was exciting. But anyway, we had a little time between that and our next match. We actually had a couple more preseason games to go following that one, but now couple things. One, we are a week away from the transfer deadline, so we have some work to do because I have not brought in any players. And financially speaking, I think I have probably 3 prospects that are looking best for somebody to sign. We didn't have the finances available, but we've offloaded some players, and now we do have the finances available, but it's probably only enough to go for one quality addition. And I don't think any of the additions are going to necessarily be first 11. I think there are more going to be options coming off the bench for us, as that's what we've come up with scouting wise, and we only have a month. So if we spend that money now, I think it's going to come down to those 3 choices. We'll look at them in a little bit, but the big thing as we start the season is we are just loaded with injuries, and that is a little worrying. I mean, you can see we lead the table, and it's actually a lot more than 4. 2 days ago, anyway, it was 6, and so we've just got Safranco and Zwane, which of course are 2 key players. One of our top players in the first 11, and certainly one of our first players, one of our super subs coming in off the bench, our top reserve striker that we have, and certainly somebody who is deserving of infrequent, but certainly more than occasional starts. And then we still have 4. 2 of those, luckily, are not long-term. They've already been out for a few weeks. They're both players that can contribute, but we're looking at two very key players that have been out long-term and will continue to be out long-term. Both slated as regular starters. Vilakazi, even though he is slated as a regular starter, it's going to be difficult for us to find that kind of time for him this season. We could run into issues later on, especially as he's missing time based on an injury, and they'll often consider that as not playing, and they're going to want to come straight into the side coming out of that, and that's not necessarily where I'm at with him. But you know what? Let's start the season. There's nothing we can do but get out there and play some Football Manager. Let's do it. And as we begin our first match of the season, you can see that tactical familiarity is certainly better than it was, but the marking, very awkward as I made some changes there. The tempo, I made some changes there. So again, that really took a step back. Triggering the press, all of these things are I made some adjustments tactically after that mess of a match, first time we went up against proper competition. The rest of the preseason was just utter domination over clearly weaker sides. Some of the teams in this league are going to be clearly weaker sides. Some of the teams are going to provide us with a significant challenge. Who and what, how much of a challenge are they going to give us? Well, that's going to depend on some things. How quickly we can bring up that tactical familiarity, I think, is going to make a pretty big difference. So I think we are most vulnerable right now as we go into the season. Kakana is good. He passed his fitness test, or at least it was not required. And so it wasn't just those 4 long-term injuries that we had and then the 2 that just recovered. There was 2 or 3 others that also just recovered over the last week and a half. So in all, we had more than 10 players on the injury list. But just as the season's ready to kick off here, we're getting guys healthy yet again, and that's certainly a good thing. I think getting Lunga back into the side is going to be key for us. Yeah, Kakana, Domingo are the 2 that aren't going to make the squad list, and that's okay. I think that's pretty typical. One thing I did try out during the preseason was shifting things around a little bit. Otherwise, Nobeni, we've already seen, can play the left side fairly decently. Swain can actually play in this playmaker's role, and Coetzee can fill in. So we don't have much depth at center back, and Coetzee is an excellent center back and would actually make us quite a bit stronger back there. And with his ball playing capabilities, he can easily fit into one of those wide center back roles, meaning he is our primary depth at the back. We don't necessarily have to drop down to bring a player on. We can actually increase, and where we have some options in the midfield, that's definitely not a bad thing to do. The only downside to that is you're taking out your best playmaker from the midfield. You have plenty of quality options otherwise, and so you might not produce as many key balls going forward, but be a lot more stable at the back. So depending on who we're going up against, could be a good thing, especially if we're on the road at, you know, 2nd or 3rd place team in the league where we're only a handful of points ahead. That's a good way to try to maybe not lose. Ready for the season opener. So excited for this one. The visiting crowd not quite filling out the stadium, but the home crowd seems to be at near capacity. No, really not quite, actually. I'd say we're a little over half capacity, so we're really not filling out this stadium, but I suppose that is the nature of playing in a much smaller league. This is still a much bigger crowd than what I'm used to starting out as a lower league manager. All right, and game gets underway. Opening cross is picked off by the keeper, but we already worked a ball into the box in literally the first seconds of the game. Nice ball there, and we nearly get a big chance out of it, but the defense makes a huge stop. Modiba gets the ball into the box. We play that through. Shalule turns. Modiba, goal. Goal. First key play of the game. And already we lead 1-0. Modiba starts that one off, sets it up, finds his man. Serino, though, can't get onto the end of that as he gets tripped up. Lucky for them, not a penalty. But Kote gets on the end of that, plays the ball in, and we turn and find the one guy who wasn't marked tightly. And we lead 1-0. Kunamela makes it 2 right off the bat. Nice start to this one. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, I kept thinking that the crowd noise was too much for you, but then when I go on playback, the crowd noise wasn't bad at all. But in my ears, holy cow, this crowd is super loud. But just turn the headphones down so things are a little bit better on that front. But anyway, it's 2-0, and we're not even inside 20 minutes yet. Modiba turns, finds some space. Serino, Modiba combining, gets that ball in. Keeper, who easily should have punched that one away or caught it, doesn't get on the end of it, but Shalile comes up short and heads that straight up over the bar. He can't get his head over the top of that one to knock it down. I think his fight to get up to that ball kind of led to that one. And where the early shots were 2-2, it's now 7-2, and we've definitely excelled. We've only gotten 3 shots on target, yet we have 2 goals. Kotze, he's got to get his back turned the front way, and he does. Zwain, Labusa, Zwain again, turns in. Sends the ball in there, but it's headed away. Modiba finds Kotze. Kotze, again, facing the wrong direction. It's a bit of an issue for the team that I'm not happy with. I'd like these guys to be playing more north and south instead of east and west, or, you know, back to the goal at least. And, oh, Serino makes it 3 before half. Great ball movement there, and we're definitely working the ball forward, right? It's not just side to side. We're definitely working that ball forward. Serino cuts back to find a little bit of space, pulls off the defender. Defender does not stay with him, does not mark him tightly, and that 5 yards of space that he got was enough to turn and blast it in. And then you got a couple defenders in the way there that helped possibly shield the ball from the keeper, or they just have that poor of a keeper who is unable to contend with, well, the likes of us. 9 shots, 4 on target, 3 goals, and the XG, just about 1.2. Second half underway. No reason to back down at this point. We will stay positive. Kunamela, Kakana finds Kotze. Kotze has some room to run, and he gets the ball to his attacking forward, but gets it to him in a difficult to control or manage way, as it was a header where he's kind of out at the edge of the box and marked tight. Daruk, Jali, Labusa, back to Jali, this time facing the right direction. He finds that nice dangerous pass right into the top of the box through some players. It wasn't threading the needle, but it was definitely a good, efficient pass. Modiba, bad foul there, but luckily gets away with it. Well, I mean, he gets called for the foul, but no yellow card on the occasion. 53, that looked offside, but maybe not. I don't know. Hard to say. It was. Okay. And we'll see a look. Oh, yeah, he definitely went too early, but he was only a step. It was only a step offside. I mean, we're talking about a yard and a quarter. Kotze, again, finds Serino, finds Kunamela, but Kunamela, instead of taking the shot there, Kunamela was looking for one more pass. That was already the extra pass. Free kick, edge of the box. Daruk gets the header, but the keeper saves. And let's take a look. We need to make some moves. Lapusa, again, struggling. What's going on? Well, 6.8 is not that bad. But Zwain, a little tired. He's coming off of his minor injury. Let's go ahead and get Nabeni in there. Serino picks up a yellow card, so we do not want to risk going down a man. So here in the final minutes, we will look to bring him off. Serino taking the free kick here. Finds Nabeni, but Nabeni misses. And let's get... let's see, who do we want to bring in? Gosh, I'm lacking midfielders right now, so I guess Mavala. Nobedi with the goal. That was another free kick, I believe. Yes, it was. Serino taking that before getting subbed off. And Nobeni just outruns his man. Easy, simple, inside of the foot. Tap in kind of goal down into the bottom corner. Wasn't even perfectly placed, but it was good enough. Okay, Modiba. Pretty tired. Pretty tired. Holy cow, we make it 5. Let's go ahead and get somebody in who could use some moments, even though it's out of position. We're going to put Lunga in there. Just a minute to go. 5-0. What a way to open the season, huh? Sadet on a yellow. Little give and go. Takes it towards the corner. They've worked the ball well to get into the box, but we block that one. We clear it out. They get the nice cross in, but we make a good defensive header to clear, at least slightly clear. And ooh, that should have been 6. That should have made it 6 right there. Nabeni taking the corner kick duties now. Changed the settings slightly, but we're still getting a slight amount of lag. I think this is about game optimization, not about hardware. And that'll do it. Big win to open the season. Excited for that one. Now, let's deal with this transfer deadline that's just a few days away. All right, so I have 3 players that I'm looking at, I think, in particular, as potential moves. So let's go ahead and break down those 3 players because they don't play the same positions. So it's not an easy, straightforward decision, as preferably really want all 3 of them on the squad, but we just don't have the finances to sign all 3. And I don't necessarily know if we need to sign any of the 3. They would all help us, but are they good enough to be an impact signing? And I'd like to spend our money on one impact signing, if anything else. Okay, well, let's start. This is Makopa. Makopa plays for Baroka, one of the other teams within the league itself. You can see strong dribbling, good finishing, plays as a striker. Positionally, that is the only place he would be for us. So we have our 2 positions. Deep lying forward in that support role. That's kind of that main place that I'm looking to maybe fill in at, but he can play both roles, and that's one important thing. His 2 weaker, or let's say 3 weaker attributes that hold him back a little bit and make him not too strong at this point at just 21 is his first touch needs a little bit of work. His vision definitely needs to grow and develop a little bit, and his balance is a little bit further down than you would like it. The attacking, the advanced forward, you can see it's the agility, the balance, and again with the first touch. So based on both roles requiring good first touch, we would instantly get him started on trying to improve his first touch and or balance. So with Shaluli, you could see that Shaluli, it's speed. Speed is one of the important pieces. He's got some good mental attributes, but he actually isn't that great of an attacking player. Now, he scored a decent amount of goals in the build-up for the season, but it was really against weaker opposition. And, you know, looking at him, he's definitely not a complete player. So it wouldn't be the worst thing to be kind of rotating him, you know, among others. He doesn't have to be an everyday kind of player necessarily. And at 28, hopefully he'll stay healthy for us. But one thing to watch out for is having a South African player. But of course, that doesn't matter as much anymore. We are allowed 5 foreign players. We had 7. And between reserves and not activating those guys because they're not good enough, we were down to 5. And then we've sold. No. Sorry, I take that back. We did not sell 2. Since the start of this, we had 2 players that have been playing in South Africa long enough, which is 5 years, to become citizens, and they opted to. So we've had 2 players that have been here at least 5 years and opted to pick up citizenship and no longer have to deal with work permit issues, and now they are no longer counted as foreign players. Suddenly we're down to 3. So we actually do have 2 foreign player slots still available. Maybe, you know, come January, that could be a big time signing for us in one key position, and we don't have to search necessarily within South Africa where the pool is quite limited. There's only so many players out there, and we already have a lot of the best South African players available. So maybe finding a foreign international is a good thing, because actually there was a fourth guy on my list, which was an older Colombian player who played for Inter Milan for a handful of years. Guevarin. I think I'm vaguely familiar with the name, but it's not a league that I follow particularly closely, so couldn't say for sure. But anyway, he was on a free, and we tried to sign him, but he just wanted way too much money. And at that point, anyway, when we came across him, we still had some budgeting issues when it came to spending. But now we've freed up a good 700,000 or 800,000 for one big signing not being an issue in terms of what we could potentially sign them for, though the team might have a limit to that, not just because where we were at financially at that moment. It very well could be another matter. But anyway, this guy looks like he could fit in pretty well. I mean, we're going up against our top striker, and he might actually be able to contribute for us. Meanwhile, our other starter in Kudamela, you can see Kudamela is maybe a little more well-rounded. He has some good speed. He's a little stronger physically, much better vision. The vision, of course, is really, really important as that deep lying forward to play in your partner, and we've already seen that out of Kudamela a bit. Rating-wise, in the position, he's only coming in as a 3-star guy, and maybe that's because he's only accomplished, maybe with a little more training. Our assistant manager will see him as a little bit more. They think he's better as an advanced forward, but it's that vision that has him playing the role that I have him in, at least currently. He's got a goal, he's already got an assist, and that is the name of the game for him. He needs goals and assists. He's going to be creative as a force. Technically, he's good. Aerially, not as good, and that's another reason to not necessarily be the advanced forward, but the deep-lying forward. Between the vision and the aerial, makes a lot of sense to have him playing where I currently have him play. But again, Makopa, strong attacking compared to these guys. Still good speed, not quite as fast, not quite as physical, but he's pretty well up there. The vision is that one thing that's hurting him a little bit. Strong aerially. I think he would be a pretty good third option for us, and we already have a decent third option. Let's compare to that third option right now. And here is that third option in Safranco, the one who just came back from injury, and you can see a clear step up. Makopa would definitely take over as our third option and would certainly deserve the semi-frequent start. It's a pretty solid player. Our next option is Luke Fleurs. Luke Fleurs, just 21 years of age. We've already talked with his agent. We've talked about the possibility of him coming along, and we're definitely talking about a very good young talent with plenty of potential. And then you compare him to our top defender in Daruk. Fleurs is not technically gifted. He does not have great vision. He's not good in attacking. So he is the kind of player who isn't going to be in the wide center back role. He needs to be in the middle of our defense. To be in the middle of our defense, well, that's Daruk. That's Daruk's position, because he's not good enough to be a wide center back, but he's a strong defender. You can see Daruk, 14 with the defending. Fleurs, that's that one area. He is better in the key places, physically, speed, the mentals, already aerially, almost on par. You know, you compare those four parts of the chart, and we're looking at a player who could be impactful right away and not just be a backup. But the defending is so far behind that unless he improved rapidly, I worry. Now, I would love to get this guy in here for an affordable price, be the backup, and let him develop. If he doesn't cost us our full budget, I would go for that. If we could get one of the other guys as well. By himself, I think we probably need to pass. The only problem here is that Daruk or let's just say our center back trio lacks depth. So we have 3 strong enough guys. One of them doesn't necessarily want to be somebody I want in the first 11, but the other 2 are definitely better at playing the ball. Kakana, this is kind of the guy I'm talking about. You can see defending wise, pretty good. Technically, pretty good. Vision, yeah, just okay. Only a little bit better than Fleurs, but the technical part allows him to play the ball a bit better. The attacking part definitely allows him to play the ball a bit better. So he is a solid option. And just for comparison, you can see Labusa is almost exactly the same as Kakana. That all kind of just says, okay, Fleurs, I can see where he's a little bit short of where he needs to be, and he would definitely be the backup. And the third guy I'm looking at is Bungani Zungu. So Zungu, 28, so he's already kind of at his peak or coming in on it, but he can play in our defensive midfielder role, and apparently pretty good at it. And then he can also come into the midfield, and this actually has the potential of maybe being a starter. Let's see how he compares. Now, his finishing's not great, but from that position, we don't need it to be. We want him to be more of a creative force. Decision making, okay, not great, but he is so solid at pretty much everything else. The key here is he is definitely a more expensive player compared to what we have now. Jali is one of our weaker players in the lineup that we might be looking for a better option. You can see Zunga is similar. He's a little faster, a little stronger, much better aerially, not quite as good mentally, but they're similar, so we could absolutely play that position. Now this one's actually a little surprising, but Coetzee has the mental advantage, but actually Zunga is a better player than Coetzee pretty much all around. And if Coetzee is our main creative force, you can see the vision isn't quite there, the attacking, the technical skills, he could be an upgrade compared to Coetzee, and then Coetzee could go back into that defense, and then we don't have the shortcomings. We have some reserve players. We have 3 guys across the back, 4 guys across the back that could properly play. That would be a pretty significant upgrade. So Zungo, I think, has some real potential. I mean, he's got high ratings to start through 4 appearances so far, and 1 assist. Of course, the season itself really just starting, so I'm not sure how he's got 4 official appearances thus far. But yeah, I think this might have the most potential for being an impact player for us right off the bat. Oh my, Sereno. Look at the difference between Zungu and Sereno. Okay, we are looking at a first team guy in this one. The others are impact subs that could develop and take over as starters as seasons go on, and they're players you want to get, you want to sign. But this is big. This is so big. So what do we know about him? Current international, plenty of experience. Stamina allows him to keep performing matches. A new signing philosophy, shows a fairly ambitious nature, enjoys big matches, fairly consistent performer. So consistency is good, possesses a fair amount of speed, can play at a couple of positions. Yeah, that's big for me. Agent could demand a comparatively high, inconsistent when presented with chances. Okay, chances. So he doesn't take the best, or doesn't get the best out of his individual chances. But the role he would be playing, that's not going to matter as much. I want him to be more of a creative force. Zungu is likely to find it difficult to fit in with the core social groups. Is more likely to slot into a secondary group. That's not a big deal. Career appearances 173, meaning he's going to wear out. But we only need him for 1 season. He's already seen as a star player in the league. And in terms of the transfer value, it's going to take anywhere between half to most of our remaining transfer budget. The estimated salary, very expensive. We'll see. He's dubious about a transfer, but that doesn't mean he is unopposed to it. Oh, goodness me. the the dreaded takeover. Well, sometimes it's not dreaded, right? Sometimes it's very much something you want to have happen, but sometimes it can be a bit of a headache. And here we go with takeover rumors barely a month into our play. All right, so Zungu is the guy that I've kind of picked out as our target, and the club wants kind of the max deal or nearly max deal of 2.1. Now, the installments part helps because that cuts out $500,000 from this year in terms of budget dedication, so I'm happy with that. That brings us down. I think we could certainly try to negotiate this down a bit, bring him closer to, this range, not all the way down, maybe 1.4, 1.5. Could possibly be something we could get away with through negotiations. One thing, though, that I've noticed here that's going to be important to watch out for is financial fair play regulations for the league. We need to bring our budget not down to just what the club allows, but to a much lower level than what it is. Right now, our club allowance is like 8.2, which we're well below that. I mean, we're down to 7.5. So we've come in a good 700,000 below where we were above when we started. Between loans and offloading a few players, I've made a pretty big dent into that. This is a player who's going to bring us back up quite a bit. He would put us back up over 8, which would put us above for financial fair play. Now, the question for me is, does that mean that the club is going to lock me in at a level before I start negotiations with the player because of financial fair play? Are they going to put us in a danger zone? So do I need to offload some players before trying to sign Zungu so we don't miss out on him? Because I think this is the guy. This is the guy we need. This is that one impact player that is missing. So do I need to try and free up some space first? Or can I free up that space after? Do I even have to free up that space? The club itself allows it, so it's not a big deal. If financial fair play happens, later on, that's future, down the road, doesn't actually impact anything. We're not as worried about long-term care with a series that's only intended to go 1 year. All right, well, for now, we start with the negotiations, so we do what we can here, and they've actually agreed to our terms, so we do have a deal in place. Well, this is surprising. Where I initially had some interest from Zungu, Zungu doesn't feel that we can pay him enough, and therefore he doesn't want to negotiate with us. So he's walked away before we've ever even started negotiations. That sucks. That really sucks. Definitely did not expect that to happen, especially as we're the biggest club in the country anyway. So a little surprising that he wouldn't want to go to a larger club, all things considered. I'm a fan of the new scouting overview, the new scouting cards that you get just on the main screen here. Very much well done. We only have slight interest here from Makopa. That's that next target that we have. He is very interested in a loan, and that might be a way to change it up a little bit. But in terms of transfer, looks like he actually wouldn't be that, terribly expensive, and would certainly help, would certainly contribute to the squad. So I do think we're looking at a good, strong signing, and of course, the sign him whatever the price evaluation would be very popular with the fan base, with the club in general, and kind of fit our philosophies. So let's go ahead and try to make an offer and see where we're at. And we're going to wrap this episode here with negotiations complete between us and Baroka for Makopa. The only thing that really bothers me on this one, because a lot of this is future stuff, and the transfer of a 16-year-old who isn't helpful to us, is that they need to sign a replacement player first. And that was locked in immediately in the negotiations. So let's hope that this actually does come together, because, I'm not a fan of that one being included because they've only got a couple days left to do it, so we don't know for sure that this is even going to go through. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.